What is up, my friends? This would be the part where I'd normally say you're very welcome along to tonight's late night agenda, but I have a huge broadband outage in my area affecting every broadband provider. So the best that I can do is record a video and upload it via the 5G on my phone. I hope you enjoy it, and if you do, please do drop a like on it. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and of course we'd love to know your thoughts in the comment section. Over the course of this video, yes, I'm going to brag a little bit about the gap at the top of the Premier League. We're also going to discuss the game between Arsenal and Manchester City, give you some conflicting reports around the future of MARC Guehi and where he's destined to go, and a few other bits and pieces, including a potential new contract for one of Liverpool's stars. Unfortunately, it isn't Ibrahim Konate, but it is still good news. So we'll get stuck into it. I need you to do your bit in the comments as always. Let's get cracking. So let's have a little chat around, well, the Premier League right now. Mind the Gap is, of course, the title of this video because Liverpool have increased their margins even further. Today, it was a 1-1 draw at the Emirates, which is usually the best that you can get from Mikel Arteta's side in these big head-to-heads. I know they beat them 5-1 last year, by the way. You don't need to let me know in the comments. But this was actually the result I personally didn't want. I wanted somebody to lose the game, but all in all, it is still good for Liverpool. 5 points clear of Arsenal now, and I believe if my maths is right, 8 points clear of Manchester City, so plenty to be upbeat about. We, of course, have already played some difficult fixtures ourselves, beating Arsenal at Anfield and going to Newcastle, which Arsenal, by the way, have to do next week. So there is the potential there for more points to be dropped. Our fixture next week is no easy one either, of course. We travel down to London to take on Crystal Palace. If we can do our job there, it'll be another interesting weekend as we sit back and watch those around us play. Now, Manchester City have some very winnable games coming up, but for me, I'm sitting pretty right now as a Liverpool fan. Top of the Premier League, not quite ready yet to set sail on HMS Pistol League, but I tell you what, I'm not too far away. Do let me know how confident you're feeling. And I know it's early days, but there's nothing wrong with being upbeat. There's nothing wrong with being confident, especially when your team are, well, perfect so far this season. So that's my take on today's game, but I want to know your thoughts on it, so let me know in the comments and I'll get cracking with the news. Right, so Fabrizio Romano has said that Michael Olise is only focused on Bayern Munich right now and isn't a topic for Liverpool. That makes sense. Look, Mohamed Salah has 2 years on his contract, but these links to Michael Olise are not going to go away, and I think he could very well be that long-term Salah successor. Also from Fabrizio Romano, he said today, Liverpool are still trying for Konate's contract, but Real Madrid are very keen and very interested in him. Now, I'm going to move on to speak more about Real Madrid in a moment because, well, it seems like they're getting quite greedy. You've seen the links to Konate, you've seen the links to Upamecano, you've seen the links to Saliba. Well, the Mirror have reported that Liverpool are going to lose out on another player to Real Madrid. More on that in a second, but before I do, Liverpool are still interested in MARC Guehi, said Fabrizio Romano, but they're not the only ones. Fabrizio Romano, Fabrizio Romano, but they're not the only ones. I'm interested to hear, though, what the likes of James Pearce, David Ornstein and others have to say about MARC Guehi's future. It was a matter of when and not if, according to James Pearce, Guehi joins, but a report from the Mirror, like I've mentioned, well, that's a bit worrying. So I'm going to tell you why I don't believe it and why you guys should, well, in my opinion, brush it off. So Manchester City, this report said here from Football Insider, will demand £150 million to sell Erling Haaland next summer if Barcelona come a-knocking, which they have done. So let's talk about that new contract I said to you that one of the Liverpool players could be getting, and in my opinion, very well deserved. This piece from Peter O'Rourke said that Liverpool are exploring offering Andy Robertson a new deal to avoid the defender leaving on a free in 2026. This makes the world of sense to me. We know Costas is on loan, and by the way, I love that he's calling himself Greek Scouser in Rome. Fair play, Costas. But I do think Andy Robertson still has more to give. We've seen that Milos Kerkez is progressing well, but does still have a few tweaks to make to his game. And having the experienced Andy Robertson around, I think will be no harm to Arna whatsoever. I know people will say that Kerkez is going to play most of the games, but we play 60 to 65 games a season, and I think there will be more than enough games to go around. Add to that the fact that we know Andy Robertson has said that his family are settled and loving life in Liverpool. So I hope this does end up in Robbo getting that, in my opinion, deserved new deal. So let's move on to conflicting reports around the future of Mark Guehi. The first one comes in from Transfer News Live, who've reported that Chelsea have abandoned hope of signing Crystal Palace's centre-back Mark Guehi as a free agent next summer. They believe that the Englishman has his heart set on a move to Liverpool. Now look, they're not the only ones who think he's moving to Liverpool. Like I've said, many of the journalists that cover the Liverpool patch believe that Mark Guehi will end up at Anfield as well. I've always been honest with you guys and said I don't have any inside information on this one, so I'm just sitting back waiting and watching like everybody else. There is a report today, though, in the Daily Mirror that I'm going to call bullshit on, quite frankly, and this is why. The report said that Mark Guehi has told his advisors that his heart is set on a move to Real Madrid after an agreement to join Liverpool collapsed at the 11th hour. The piece goes on to say that it could be a double blow for Arne Slot's side because Ibrahima Konate is running his contract down in readiness to leave on a free transfer next summer, with Real Madrid amongst a cluster of clubs interested. Now, two things about this. Firstly, how many centre-backs do Real Madrid need? So if, let's say, Mark Guehi is going there, well, do they really need then to push for Konate as well? Here's what I think. I went and I read this article, and it was an article that had nothing in it other than sources tell the Mirror that. And sources tell the Mirror that isn't really something that I'm buying, to be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen, because they're the only ones that are talking about this. And I don't believe for 1 second that Mark Guehi has already 2 months into a new season told his advisors that he's off to Real Madrid. If that's the case, why would he have ever wanted to come and join Liverpool? Why wouldn't he have just sat tight knowing that he could make that move in the future? This to me smacks of a little bit of clickbait, quite honestly. There is no detail in that story that makes me think it's anything that we have to worry about. It is one of these, well, another one of the stories that the Mirror have, in my opinion, gotten wrong. There was something in the last week or so as well that they reported and said Mirror sources said that turned out to be absolutely untrue, and the story moved in a completely different direction. So if you see this report doing the rounds, my advice to you is don't panic. I'm not saying to ignore it, but I don't think there's any credence to it at this particular moment in time. Why would Mark Guehi already and his representatives be saying what they want to do? Surely if you're in his position, you'll sit back, let the offers come into you, weigh up the pros and cons, and then make your decision in plenty of time. So I don't believe this for 1 sec, like I've said, but it is only one man's take on it. What I do believe in, and what I know to be a fact, is that Liverpool are currently sitting pretty at the top of the Premier League. As you know, we have a game coming up on Tuesday against Southampton in the League Cup. The preview for that will be coming out a little bit later tonight, so keep your eye out for that one. I'm hoping that this broadband issue gets resolved in the next 24 hours or so, because if it doesn't, you'll only be seeing me in these pre-recorded videos between now and, well, whenever it's back. So keep your fingers crossed for me. As always, I do appreciate your support, ladies and gents. I'll catch up with you soon. Much love.